Following the success and critical acclaim of Society of the Snow, a new behind-the-scenes movie titled Society of the Snow, Who Were We on the Mountain was released as an accompaniment. The chilling and incredibly powerful true story of the 1972 Andes plane crash has been told through several documentaries, books, and even a previous feature film called Alive, 1993, starring leading man Ethan Hawke. Society of the Snow was created based on close and modern interviews with the survivors as well as the families of the deceased to create the most authentic portrayal of the tragedy ever made. Directed by Spanish filmmaker J. A. Bayona, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, The Impossible, Society of the Snow has been nominated for 2 2024 Academy Awards, Best International Feature Film and Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling. Set more than 50 years ago, the film offers an unprecedented look into the authentic struggles of all 40 passengers aboard the flight from Uruguay to Chile. The film showcases the 16 survivors of the 1972 plane crash and the subsequent 72 days in the frigid and dangerous terrain of the Andes mountain range with extreme attention to detail and compassion for those involved. The survivors were relieved that all the passengers were included. Other films left out the names of the deceased. Several survivors sitting outside of the ruined plane in Society of the Snow. Based on the new behind-the-scenes documentary Society of the Snow, Who Were We on the Mountain, which featured several of the real-life survivors giving their reactions to the film, the survivors were relieved that all the passengers were represented in Bayona's movie. This was not the case in Alive, which only used the real names of the people who survived and did not include the names of the deceased, including the Society of the Snow protagonist Numa Turcati. The survivors felt a sense of hope knowing that Bayona would treat their material with the utmost respect. 7. The survivors allowed J. A. Bayona full freedom with their story. Carlitos Páez specifically gave Bayona his blessing. Society of the Snow characters outside Carrasco Airport. In the behind-the-scenes documentary Society of the Snow, Who Were We on the Mountain, the survivors gave full creative freedom to Bayona knowing his esteemed reputation as a passionate storyteller and great director. The key survivors, including Carlitos Páez, developed faith in Bayona as being the right person to recreate their story with such in-depth research and the right tone for the tragic yet inspirational story. Páez told Bayona specifically to take full creative freedom in regard to the story but to remember that he was holding all of the survivors' lives, and those of the deceased, in his hands. 6. Fernando Paradieu recalls on the horrors shown in the film. Paradieu lost his mother, sister, and best friend. Agustin Pardella as Nando in Society of the Snow. Also included in the behind-the-scenes documentary Society of the Snow, Who Were We on the Mountain was the real-life Fernando Paradieu recalling the horrors of what are undoubtedly the worst days of his entire life. In the new documentary, Paradieu attests that he particularly was dealt one of the hardest blows, having lost his mother, sister, and best friend during the harrowing experience. He also points out that he and Roberto Canessa made one of the most incredible mountainous treks ever done, especially considering the lack of proper gear they had to pull off such a dangerous feat. Roberto Canessa reflects on majestic and terrible spirit of the Andes. Canessa says you can only understand it by being there. Netflix's Society of the Snow character looking frightened on a mountainside. Roberto Canessa, who is also featured in the new Netflix behind-the-scenes documentary Society of the Snow, Who Were We on the Mountain, recalls that being stuck in the Andes in that way is unlike any other experience on Earth. The winds, as well as the silences, are much more intense than in most places of the world, while also offering some of the most breathtaking displays of natural beauty that the world has to offer. Canessa poignantly refers to the majestic and terrible spirit of the Andes crash site, which is profound considering he can still appreciate the natural beauty considering everything that happened. 4. Eduardo Strauch says watching the film transports him back in time. The survivors commended the film's authenticity. Eduardo Strauch in Society of the Snow. Eduardo Strauch, who is also featured in the new Netflix behind-the-scenes documentary Society of the Snow, Who Were We on the Mountain, says that watching Society of the Snow is like going back in time. This is a compliment to Bayona's work and the level of authenticity that the film was able to achieve, despite the fact that going back in time is obviously a very difficult thing for each other survivors and families of the deceased to do. This coming from Eduardo Strauch himself, among other survivors, is an achievement in itself, and proves that Bayona's film accomplished what it had set out to do. 3. Paradieu believes Bayona might have made the best film of his life. Paradieu applauded him for pouring his heart into the story. Enzo Vogrinsic as Numa kneeling on a snowy mountain in Society of the Snow. Fernando Paradieu also comments in the new Netflix behind-the-scenes documentary Society of the Snow, Who Were We on the Mountain, that Bayona arguably made the greatest film of his entire life with Society of the Snow. Pardieu applauded Bayona's remarkable ability to pour his heart deep into the realities of the story and commended how determined he was to recreate the authenticity and honor everyone involved in the historic tragedy. Pardieu, who went on to become a TV presenter, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker, believes that Bayona made an unforgettable movie that will stand the test of time.